Every day, thousands of people are starting up their own print-on-demand journey with the hope of hitting it big like all the gurus say you can. I myself am obsessed with print-on-demand and will continue to encourage anyone who wants to start their own business to go for it because I truly believe it has the ability to change a life. But there are some big caveats to making that happen that frequently get misunderstood, misinterpreted, or missed entirely, any one of which could set you up for frustration, unrealistic expectations, or even failure. I personally have made over $200,000 in revenue with print on demand since starting my primary shop almost 2 years ago, while working on it just part-time on top of my other six-figure handmade business that I've had for years. I've worked with hundreds of sellers, done hundreds of shop reviews, and there are some glaring misconceptions that I see happening all the time. So for this video, I want to dive into 5 things you must know before getting started with print on demand. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Mandy. I've started and stopped multiple entrepreneurial adventures in the span of more than a decade and learned a lot along the way. Now, as the owner of multiple six-figure businesses, including Etsy print-on-demand shops, my goal is to provide you with strategies to simplify the journey so that you can stop the overwhelm, start making progress, and thrive with your print-on-demand business. Number 1, the passive part comes later. Print-on-demand is a business, but it's often hyped as being super passive. And you'll get there eventually. Every business has different seasons. Getting started with print on demand requires work, a lot of work, just like any business. Sales aren't just going to start manifesting themselves, and you are not entitled to them simply because you opened a shop. I put in massive effort in the beginning of starting all of my businesses, and the reality is that you focus your time on becoming an expert so that you can become really good at what you do, and you invest your time and sometimes financial resources into getting it off the ground. Success in this case requires understanding the demand in the marketplace, understanding the customers that you're trying to sell to, and building expertise in creating designs that will sell. All of that takes varying degrees of time, effort, and skill building. Can you have massive success and reach your financial goals with print on demand? Absolutely. But be prepared to roll up your sleeves and do the work that it takes, which also means print on demand is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Yes, you can make a profit. And yes, for some the learning curve is lower and their journey might move faster. But for most people, it takes time. And that's normal. So you need to start this business with realistic expectations. Depending on your skill levels, the niches that you choose, the products that you choose, how much time you're spending on it, and so many other factors, it can vary. My first print-on-demand shop was a disaster, but I learned a lot from it. Then I tried again and did everything I could to learn and then apply what I learned along the way. Now that my primary shop is nearly 2 years old, I don't spend very much time on it, and daily orders still roll in. That is certainly the eventual goal, but that is not at all what it will look like in the beginning. Number 2, know the difference between revenue and profit, and understand what is considered a normal profit margin for a business. Yes, we all throw around big numbers like $200,000 in a year or $10K in a month from XYZ product. That does not mean we keep all of that though. In every single product-based business, you have revenue. This is a standard part of business. This is not specific to print on demand. You have costs of goods sold, like inventory, and you have expenses like the cost of shipping, operating expenses, and more. I will tell you right now, for a handmade business, that is a very long list, on top of all of the time spent on actually making the product. So let's do a quick example, and I'm going to keep it super simple. Sales from your orders, that's revenue. The direct cost of what it takes to produce your item, that's the cost of goods sold. The difference between revenue and cost of goods sold is your gross profit margin. When you factor in operating expenses such as marketing or software or labor, you then get your operating profit margin. With me so far? So for example, if your revenue is $100K for a year and your cost of goods sold or supplies was $75K, yes, we're going to keep it super simple girl math here. Your gross profit margin for that year then is $25K. Then let's say your ad spend and software totaled another $5K. So now your operating profit was $20K. Your operating profit margin then is 20%. Factor in taxes, and that's then your net profit margin. And again, this is a very simplified explanation of this, but these are all normal things when you are operating a business. And if you don't understand them, you're going to assume that the big numbers that you hear thrown around are what you actually get to keep, but it's not. But I also don't want you to think that print on demand is a scam either, because let's be real, that's not how it works in any business. You don't keep all of what you earn. That's simply not how it works, and print on demand is no different. Now, depending on your profits can be really thin, or they might be much higher. If you're a high volume business making much higher revenue, your profit in dollars will be higher, but the profit margin percentage might be the same. It's all about scaling and volume. 20% of a little is a little. 20% of a lot can be a lot. So then, what is a normal profit margin percentage? Well, that can greatly depend on a lot of things and different industries. If I had $1 for every time I heard the phrase, all this work and I'm only making a 20% profit, I'd be a rich girl. Because all that is telling me is that person hasn't learned the basic principles of running a business or an understanding of what a standard profit margin even is or how to increase that number. So let's look at some facts. The average operating profit margin in most business industries is 10 to 20%, with 10% considered pretty average. Apple's operating profit margin in 2023, around 26%. Urban Outfitters' operating profit margin around the same time, 6%. Amazon's operating profit margin, around 5%. Yes, these are big companies with big volume, but that doesn't change the fact that profit margins as a business are calculated the exact same way, whether you're a 100K business or a $100 billion business. And it's also not the full story, especially if you are operating as an entrepreneur or as a solopreneur. For example, I frequently get comments like saying, I'm going to go make this myself. I'll make more profit. And that's great if that's your choice and you enjoy that sort of thing and you're going in with eyes wide open. As a handmade business owner myself, there's zero shame in that handmade game. And it may also be true on those upfront costs on a per item basis. For example, paying $4 for a blank shirt to make it yourself versus $8 for a completed and printed shirt from Printify. But don't forget about your packing materials, your space to make and store things, your shipping costs, your decorating method, your labor, and your time. And that only factors in labor when you can do all of that yourself. I tried making my own shirts with screen print transfers for a while, and there is no way I could handle any sort of volume myself with that. By about shirt 20 in a day with a heat press, I was done. Like seriously hating my life choices. My point is, if your goal is to grow and scale your business, you will eventually need help. As a former HR director, I will tell you right now, one of your biggest future costs of scaling your business is paying for employee or contractor costs. This is why I love print on demand. Freedom from inventory, freedom from fulfillment. I get more time back. I also learned very early on that not all designs sell. So if you are super creative and want to make all the designs and print them yourself, you have to either spend hours on a Cricut weeding and cutting or purchase transfers in bulk and order blank inventory and then hope that those designs sell. And as you grow, that's either going to take more of your time or you hire help, which immediately lowers your margins. Yes, you can achieve volume with the addition of help. There's no doubt about it, and product based businesses do it all the time. But again, we're talking about understanding margins here. On the flip side, I can run stable gross profit margins of around 30% or frequently more with print on demand, which remember means my operating margins after ads and software and all those other things is closer to about 20%. But I can continue to scale to higher volumes endlessly because I'm not taking on the burden of labor or fulfillment. Yes, if you have a lot of complex personalizations or customer queries, you will eventually need a VA or some sort of assistance, but the effort required will still be significantly less than scaling the same amount of volume in most other product based settings. Make sense? Number three, don't assume that all products and printers are created equal. For example, I tried some samples from different printers when I was getting started and did not always have good results. That is when I eventually discovered Printify. I've had consistently better results with them, and I consider them a partner in my success. After thousands and thousands of orders, are there blips occasionally? Of course, that's a normal part of outsourcing the fulfillment of your products. But what I appreciate is that my issues get resolved right away, which allows me to still take care of my customers right away. They also have literally hundreds of products that you can choose from. My primary sales do come from apparel, and I've been a SwiftPod girly from day one with Printify. But I've also had success with other products such as mugs, totes, and even blankets. I highly recommend investing in some samples of the product types that you are considering. The benefit of this is to not only see and understand how the fulfillment process will work for yourself, but also so that you can determine which products align with your business needs. Understand color differences between what you design on your screen and what actually appears on the product, and have some additional familiarity with the product itself so that you can answer common customer questions. You might love some products and you might not like others, or you might not like that your profit will only be $2 on one product type versus $12 or more on another product type. As the CEO of your business, you get to decide which products work for your business and which ones don't. If you're looking for additional insight on products, I will link my other videos below, and I also highly recommend checking out the Printify Rockstars Facebook group where you can search for hashtag product review and see previous reviews from other merchants. Pick a few that you want to try and then order some samples. I personally like to print color charts on some of mine so that you can actually see what a variety of colors will look like in person. You can see what the fabric looks like. You can see how the printing sits on the fabric. All of these little details that will help make you a better expert for the products that you're trying to sell. Which leads me to number four. To do print on demand well is not free. It is a business. You're not creating free money. But generally speaking, you can get by with a fairly simple setup. At a bare minimum, I recommend some sort of design software. You'll need this. I personally started with just Canva, which is free at the base level, but to really get decent utilization and to be able to download with a transparent background, which you absolutely need for print on demand, you'll want the Pro upgrade. I also really like Kittle, and both will serve the purpose well. I also recommend a basic SEO and keyword tool. If I could only pick just one, mine would be eRank. I've used it for so many years in my handmade business as well as with print on demand, and their $5.99 a month plan is all you need. From there, the last crucial thing you need is decent mockups. Do not expect to get by with the basic mockups from your print provider. If you are investing your time and resources in learning the process and making good designs, you need to have good mockups that highlight and show off your designs. I recommend looking for shops where you can get good bundles or even lifetime access to their entire shop. If you have a large selection, you can actually create a really nice aesthetic within your shop simply by using mockups that may have different products and poses, but have a similar vibe. I've included a list of some of my personal favorites in the description for you. Just like with any business, these are investments that will pay for themselves in the long run. And as it relates to cost, I also want to make it abundantly clear one critical area that often gets missed. Make sure you understand how the fulfillment process works. You are charged for the cost of the item when an order comes in at the time that it goes into production, which means that you need to have funds available to pay for it before you get the revenue from the sale. This is also true if you have listings suddenly take off and start selling multiple items per day. You need to be able to cover the costs of those before you get a payout because there is a slight delay. If credit cards are an option for you, I highly recommend opening a business credit card that has a really good rewards or cashback system. A business card ensures you can cover the costs without any disruption in production, and cashback rewards means that it's money coming right back to your business. I have literally earned back thousands from the card that I use, and will link it for you in the description. And finally, number 5, you don't get to skip being a beginner. Nobody, and I mean nobody, starts out as an expert in a new business on day one. While volume of listings is not at all a prerequisite for success, I used volume very intentionally when I started my print-on-demand journey. Here's what I mean. When you are just starting out, your skills are not great. They're just not. You're a beginner, and the only way to not be a beginner and improve is with learning and practice. A lot of practice. The key here, though, is not just volume for the sake of volume. The goal is not to keep creating bad designs. The goal is to absorb the elements that you are seeing perform well on Etsy and then practice incorporating those repeatedly so that you can improve your own design skills based on what's working in the marketplace. As you improve and develop your skills, the amount of listings it takes to see results goes down. For example, my very first print-on-demand shop, hundreds of listings, very little conversion, and I had zero concept of demand or research. I tried again, this time focusing on research and understanding the marketplace better. I shifted to apparel, which was more aligned with my designs and ideas, still created lots of volume of listings, but I eventually started to see sales come in faster. Started another shop with a niche focus, saw sales even faster, and then recently started another shop to test a totally different niche and started seeing sales with less than 100 listings. This is what improvement over time and skill building looks like. It's not that you need to keep creating new shops, that's not the point. The point is that the more iterations you have, the more that you are looking at and reflecting on what you're creating and how it's performing, the more you will start to then see results. Volume over time also creates more opportunity to be discovered in searches and start seeing some traffic. And that too will give you data. For example, if you start seeing your listings getting lots of views and visits, but no sales conversion, that means that you are showing up in results, but there's not enough interest in your products, and you should test some different strategies. A lack of results in and of itself can be a result and offer clues as to what may or may not be working. I'll link my recent video on how to troubleshoot some of these common issues. With this, I will also say, copying bestsellers or popular designs will feel like the easy thing to do in order to get new designs faster. And so we'll be grabbing a design from Creative Fabrica or Canva and slopping it on a shirt with no additional changes. However, This will just be wasted effort because those will not sell, and you're not actually learning anything in the process on how to create your own concepts. You have not added any value or creativity, which means you have not created any reason for a customer to choose your listing versus anybody else's. Find niches with market demand. Do your research. Get to know those niches and understand the demand, and build your expertise in creating designs that will resonate more deeply with those customers. I will also link my design playlist in case you need some inspiration on how to do that. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you want to learn more about my strategies for thriving in your print on demand business, make sure you got the notifications turned on for my channel so you don't miss out on any of my content. And in the meantime, be sure to check out my free print on demand course in the description, as well as my time blocking series here on my channel for an even deeper dive on the critical steps for success. Thanks for watching. I'm so glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next one.